The football world thought they had the Saints figured out. Heading into Buffalo, many expected the night to be short, painful, and forgettable. But then it happened. The underdogs walked into Highmark Stadium and didn't just put up a fight, they made the mighty Bills sweat until the final whistle. For a team the media buried after the collapse in Seattle, this wasn't survival. It was defiance. A declaration that the New Orleans Saints are still here, still standing, and far from finished. And what they uncovered in Buffalo might just change the entire trajectory of their season. Because here's the truth nobody wants to admit. This game was inches away from flipping the script completely. With just minutes left, the Saints trailed by 9. Bills fans restless in their own house, and momentum creeping toward the black and gold sideline. This wasn't garbage time football. This wasn't fluky luck. This was a team digging in, trading punches with one of the NFL's elite, and refusing to let go. And that fight, that refusal to fold, says more about where this franchise is headed than any scoreboard can. What really shocked the league wasn't just the fight, it was the identity that emerged from it. For weeks, critics branded the Saints sloppy and undisciplined. Suddenly, they looked sharp, they looked physical, they looked prepared. From the energy on the sidelines to the execution on the field, it felt like a reset button had been hit. The question is, where did this edge come from? The answer begins in the place this franchise has always found its heartbeat, the ground game. For the first time this season, the Saints leaned into a plan that fit their DNA. Instead of forcing empty formations and praying for miracle throws, offensive coordinator Kellen Moore doubled down on the run, and the results were undeniable. Alvin Kamara looked like the Kamara of old, grinding through tough yards, bouncing off defenders, and keeping drives alive. Right alongside him, rookie Kendre Miller flashed his youth, darting through gaps with quick bursts and dragging tacklers behind him. Together, they carved Buffalo up for over 135 rushing yards. Yards that didn't just move the ball. They forced one of the league's best defenses to respect New Orleans' ground attack from start to finish. And it wasn't just about yardage. It was about philosophy. The Saints shifted their looks, lining up under center nearly twice as often as they had all season. Suddenly, the offense carried a rhythm it had been chasing for weeks. The linemen fired off the snap with purpose. The backs hit the hole with speed. Even the simple plays, a fullback dive, a stretch zone, a power run, kept Buffalo guessing. It wasn't flashy, but it was effective. And for the first time in a long time, New Orleans dictated the pace instead of reacting to it. That's the key here. This wasn't a gimmick game plan or a one-week trick. This was a glimpse of identity. The Saints proved they can control the line of scrimmage, wear down defenses, and force opponents to adjust. The run game isn't just a safety valve, it's the foundation. And when you have a foundation, the next question becomes obvious. Does the quarterback have the balance to build on top of it? Enter Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler didn't light up the stat sheet against Buffalo. But what he showed was far more important than numbers. He showed control. For the first time, you could see him taking command of moments, not just surviving them. When the pocket collapsed, he didn't panic. He tucked the ball and scrambled for key first downs, moving the chains and energizing the sideline. These weren't desperate runs. They were calculated decisions, the kind that show awareness and poise under pressure. Every time Rattler used his legs, you could feel the energy shift. But his growth is still in progress. The Saints leaned heavily on the ground game, which meant his opportunities to take big shots were limited. Only once did he uncork a throw beyond 20 yards, and while it nearly connected with Brandon Cooks in the end zone, it also revealed the chemistry between quarterback and receivers is still developing. That lack of vertical pressure gave Buffalo's secondary breathing room, and until Rattler sharpens that rhythm, defenses will play him honest. And yet, here's where the intrigue builds. Rattler has already shown leadership at the line of scrimmage, audibling with quick signals, reading defensive looks, and adjusting protections. That confidence doesn't just happen. It's a sign that the breakthrough is close. If he can pair his arm with the ground-first identity the Saints rediscovered in Buffalo, this offense suddenly has balance. Balance that can grind out drives, punish defenses, and open the field for big plays. Balance that makes New Orleans dangerous again. Just as the Saints veterans carried the load on offense, it was a rookie defender who lit the spark on the other side of the ball. Jonas Sanker, the third-round pick, stepped onto that field in Buffalo and didn't look like a rookie. He looked like a future cornerstone. His interception on Josh Allen wasn't just a highlight. It was a statement. Allen rarely makes that mistake, but Sanker read him like a book, closed with speed and hauled in the ball like a seasoned pro. One play, and suddenly the game's momentum shifted. And Sanker wasn't done. A snap before his pick, he broke up a catch with perfect timing. Later, he denied another completion, climbing the ladder for a swat that had veterans nodding on the sideline. These weren't routine plays. They were momentum changers. And in a defense searching for young difference makers, Sanker provided a glimpse of hope. His energy fed the secondary. His toughness set the tone. His confidence radiated across the field. That's the beauty of it. One rookie stepping up can change the tone of an entire defense. And in Buffalo, Sanker wasn't alone. Another rookie corner quietly made his mark, and his name is Quincy Riley. While the offense rediscovered its heartbeat in Buffalo, the real revelation came from a defense that refused to roll over. Facing Josh Allen and one of the NFL's most explosive attacks, the Saints didn't settle for survival. They adjusted, adapted, and fought back with a level of grit that has been missing in recent seasons. And at the center of that push were the rookies, the veterans, and a willingness to bend the scheme in ways that caught Buffalo off guard. The first adjustment came in coverage. Instead of living in soft zones, Allen's comfort zone, the Saints dialed up more man looks, forcing their corners to battle receivers at the line. Kool-Aid McKinstry, the prized rookie, thrived in press coverage, showing flashes of the shutdown potential that made him a top draft pick. On the edge, Cam Jordan kept steady pressure, collapsing pockets and forcing Allen to check down more often than expected. These weren't wholesale changes, but they were the kind of strategic tweaks that send a message. This defense isn't afraid to change the formula when the matchup demands it. But even as those shifts paid dividends, the cracks still showed. Buffalo eventually found ways to exploit mismatches, and that's where the weaknesses surfaced. Carl Granderson added another sack to his breakout start, but when he was asked to drop into coverage against Dalton Kincaid, the mismatch was glaring. One route, one throw, and the Bills cashed in for a touchdown. That play didn't just cost points, it exposed the lack of hybrid defenders in New Orleans' system. Without players who can rush and cover, elite offenses will continue to test the edges of this defense. And that's the puzzle Dennis Allen's staff has yet to solve. Even so, the youth movement in New Orleans may be the antidote to those weaknesses. Jonas Sanker wasn't the only rookie defender who stole the spotlight. When veteran Isaac Yiadom gave up a costly play, the coaching staff turned to Quincy Riley, and the rookie corner answered. Targeted just once, he allowed an 11-yard catch and then slammed the door shut with disciplined coverage the rest of the night. It was the kind of calm, composed performance that immediately raises eyebrows. Should he be the starter moving forward? And Riley wasn't alone in making his mark. Defensive lineman Christian Boyd plugged gaps with surprising power, stonewalling Buffalo's run attempts up the middle. On the other side of the ball, rookie guard Torricelli Simpkins III stepped in for Cesar Ruiz after injury and held his ground against one of the league's toughest defensive lines. And Kendre Miller? His contribution alongside Kamara wasn't just a rotation. It was proof that he belongs in this offense for the long haul. This rookie class isn't just depth, it's impact. In one game, they proved they can step into high-pressure moments and deliver. And for a franchise searching for new direction, that kind of youth movement isn't just refreshing, it's transformative. The foundation is there. The question now is whether discipline can keep it standing. Because when you're playing against the league's elite, one mistake can undo an entire night's work. For 3.5 quarters, the Saints kept penalties in check, just 4 total. But with 5 minutes left, Nephi Sewell's roughing the kicker penalty turned a 28-19 dogfight into a 31-19 uphill climb. That single flag didn't just give Buffalo another possession. It drained the clock, killed momentum, and stripped New Orleans of their shot at a miracle finish. That's the razor's edge this team lives on right now. They can fight, they can adjust, they can push back against anyone. But if the discipline falters in crunch time, all of that progress slips away. And that's the lesson this roster has to learn quickly. Because in the NFL, discipline isn't optional. It's the difference between heartbreak and a headline win. Looking forward, the Saints' blueprint is clear. On offense, it's about tempo. Let Kamara and Miller set the tone, then let Rattler strike when defenses creep up. With Taysom Hill and Foster Moreau trending toward full health, the middle of the field suddenly becomes a weapon again. And if Torricelli Simpkins III can hold steady at right guard, this line has the pieces to keep the rhythm alive even without Cesar Ruiz. On defense, the spotlight shifts to the rookies. Kool-Aid McKinstry and Quincy Riley now carry the responsibility of locking down the outside, especially with the Giants coming to town minus Malik Neighbors. If they can force long drives instead of explosive plays, it gives the front seven a chance to dictate pressure. And that's where Cam Jordan, Carl Granderson, and the emerging depth up front become the X factors that tilt the balance. But the biggest X factor? Spencer Rattler. The young quarterback is learning on the fly, and every week is another step in his evolution. If he can pair his growing confidence with sharper chemistry in the passing game, this offense can transform from promising to dangerous in a hurry. Now, the Saints step into Week 5 with a chance to turn progress into payoff. The Giants roll into New Orleans shorthanded, and the stage is set for a rebound that could swing the season's momentum. If the Saints carry the grit they showed in Buffalo, if the rookies keep rising, and if the discipline holds, they can walk out with a win that redefines the narrative. Because this isn't the story of a broken team anymore. This is the story of a franchise rediscovering its fight, leaning on its youth, and carving out a new identity. Buffalo didn't bury the Saints, they woke them up. And if this spark turns into fire, New Orleans might just become one of the league's most dangerous sleepers down the stretch. So now the question is simple. Are the Saints ready to cash in on their progress? Or will discipline and inexperience hold them back one more time? The answer begins Sunday. Drop your score predictions and bold calls for the Giants game in the comments. If you're rolling with the fight this team showed, hit that subscribe button for more Saints coverage all season long. Because this ride is just getting started.